manifestation of these little echo chambers is folks get involved, they get active, they get attention, and then they run for Congress and then win. So let's play that clip of our favorite new Congresswoman. She has definitely made her appearance on this show before. Let's play the latest from her.
I woke up that morning with our founding fathers on my mind. I was thinking back to our founding fathers and how they had signed their name to a document, knowing the ridicule and even possible death would come just by signing their names to these documents. And I thought of myself in that situation, and I prayed that I would have the courage to take a stand for our country, for our freedoms, our liberty, for election integrity. And that day, I signed my name to 6 documents to stand for our Constitution, to stand for election integrity.
Oh, man. All right. So just a reminder to the audience, this is the same Congresswoman who just last week was displaying a video in an ad for how she was entering Congress. You know, she's a gun owner, and she was going to walk around D.C. defending herself from the Capitol building to her office, which also has tunnels underground, with a gun, and also go into Congress with a gun because she has the right to do so, even though you don't in D.C. Let's just make that very clear, even if you are a Congress member. That's that. And then just a couple days later, we were just talking about it, like, well, how dangerous could that be? And then a couple of days later, we witnessed it. I'm opening up the floor. Anybody wants to chime in? Akela, I know you've covered Congress. Have you ever seen that kind of crazy?
I mean, it's just something that I've been thinking about over and over again over the past couple of days is like how we're in a situation where the GOP is we're constantly, and Democrats are constantly playing on the GOP's turf, and like we're constantly responding to their like we're never like, and I'm not including myself in this, but like the left and Democrats are never in a position where we're setting the agenda. And I guess that's a function of the power structure that we've been under for the last, like however many years. But just the idea that like, we can't start from a place where everyone is on the same page that like, okay, there are certain things that are fact and there are certain things that are not fact. And like, it's like AOC tweeted it today. It's like, this is not like a difference of political opinion. These are not like people that you should be respecting as leaders, and somehow they get away with, I mean, I guess this is just part of what we were talking about, but like they get away with spouting absolute nonsense in the under the guise of being patriotic and being strong-willed, and somehow like we're always on the defensive. And I think that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, that like, and what we've talked about many times, Nomiki, like that Democrats don't have a messaging platform. Like the left didn't have, they only came up with like something to give voters, when we, in the last like 3 days of the Georgia special Senate election, when they were telling people to vote for them if they were going to give them $1,000 checks, and everything else has always been a response, a reaction, a pivoting, a sort of like, trying to kind of quarterback in response to like the GOP just flinging literally anything at the wall to see what sticks. And I don't know when or if, I mean, I guess we're seeing some members, and actually this is a point that I want to make, that the most aggressive legislation that we're seeing to sort of try to combat or hold accountable anyone who is complicit in last week's attacks is coming from the new members that were just elected, Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush and Mondaire Jones. Those are the people that are actually stepping in the footsteps of AOC and Presley and Ilhan and Rashida Tlaib, saying, oh, wait a minute, like, am I psycho or are you guys crazy? We're not to use like ableist language, I apologize for that, but like, are we like, are we reading the same language? Like, and it's so refreshing. And I don't know, I mean, I think so many people are feeling this, like how have we not had someone stick up for this before? But I think I don't know. I don't have a coherent point from that, but that's on my mind.
You're making such a strong point. I mean, Cori Bush, who in the lead up to this was receiving threats already from the fact that she was profiled in the RNC. Don't forget the convention, the two crazy people with the guns on their lawns, of their McMansion, were the ones who decided to target Cori Bush before she was even officially elected. And, as she waited to go into office. I mean, she used to invest her own own money into security at that point. That's before, she has the protection of being a Congress member. And she, within minutes of her being, sworn into office, she presents one of the most just incredibly courageous pieces of legislation or is it a legislation or is it a resolution?
It's a resolution.
It's a resolution. Mm-hmm. To take on her colleagues who have really crossed the line. I mean, this is beyond Overton window at this point. This isn't like switching political. No. This is breaking the law, being disloyal to your government for what? For what? And people enabling it along the way. So, Edward, I'm sorry, I just went off on a rant, but you mentioned Cori and I Congress member Cori Bush, and I felt the same way. I felt exactly the same way. Like this is the courage we've been looking for. Have any thoughts, Edward?
Yeah, I think I don't know that the Colorado Congresswoman, that video, feels like a dream sequence, and I just, I think there's also among the Democrats a refusal to, have the courage of the convictions that they espouse. The GOP is clearly, I have my problems with the Democrats, but the GOP is clearly a threat to like the guaranteed survival of a great many of things, whether it's like the ecological niche that we have, or it's the political institutions that, Democrats cherish, or whether it's, tackling various monopolies that dominate, huge sections of our lives. And the response should not be to consistently cater to them or meet them on these issues. But at the same time, there are also, structural barriers, I guess, to the Democrats actually wielding the power in a way that would hold these groups accountable. And I don't know, it is frustrating to watch and have it fall on the shoulders. I feel like it falls on the shoulders of like the newest, most radical, Congress people who also have like the largest targets on their backs, either amongst the party or on outsiders, or people, in the street that are taking cues or inspiration from the rhetoric of people that oppose them. But I think that, it's just a political system that in one way is or another just dominated by cowards, or feels like as if it's, dominated by cowards who, there's a clear threat. There's a clear problem. There's a clear way to address it. And whenever the clear problems and solutions emerge, is refusal to really acknowledge them or their existence or take them up. And then that just leads us further and further and further into this hell.
I mean, so much of this, I like the day after, I just thought to myself, if Democrats hadn't been cozying up to big tech for this long, if, we see what's happening with Prop 22 in California and how they're now doing the big campaign in New York and other states. But if tech wasn't so connected to the Democratic Party in terms of funding and appointments and the revolving door between different, would we be in this situation? I mean, big tech, I think so much of the roots of big tech fall their libertarian roots, but the capitalism that has evolved, the business model, I should say, has created opportunities for Democrats to be woven into it. And that's just, it's like pay to play politics. Not only are they donating to Democrats and Republicans, of course, but they're also bringing actual staffers in who are now back in this administration, but took some time off and went to Silicon Valley. I mean, we have to be able to break up with these donors, these companies that are now giving jobs to our staff, or the Democratic side's staffers. I mean, this is how corruption works. It's legalized corruption, and the results are what we saw.
Yeah, part of the problem is technology companies have for a long time. Just a sign. Yeah, the siren. But technology companies for a long time, for decades at this point, have had a very embedded relationship with American economy and political system, right? Going back to Cold War and the role in the military-industrial complex, or the advent of scientific research out of universities. They've played a key role in providing jobs to specific areas of the country, and ensuring that surpluses from trade flow back into the country and keep regions that have otherwise been neglected by the state, to still have people employed and still have access to, resources. But, over time, I think that bargain has, become a Faustian one where these firms now have enough autonomy and sovereignty to dictate the terms on which they'll operate and engage with or follow or abide by the law. And, it's going to require a huge shift, I think, not just in the actual laws around these companies, but in the way that the parties or, people in the party see their relationship to them. I think that many still kind of view big tech or technology firms as tech, when at its best moments, it can help us and can, let us be better than we might otherwise be, can connect us, can, do all these great things, when, the reality is, if you take a hard look at it, most technology firms, they provide some good, consumer facing products, but at great cost to everything else, to the ecology, to people in the global south, to children that they use as laborers or miners, to slaves that they use in China or in India, to, contract workers that they use in the United States. Is that worth it? And I think that's also as big of a pressing question as are you fine with allying with firms that will just burn you when they have enough power?
Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.